What is going on, my super sandwiches? Rhymestyle here, and today I want to talk about the most recent update to Dragon Ball Heroes. Now I know what you're thinking, Rhymestyle, why are we talking about Dragon Ball Heroes? That game is exclusive to Japan. It means absolutely nothing to me unless you happen to live in Japan. Well, the reason why I decided to do this is because two reasons actually. The first reason is to actually go over all the forms because it looked pretty freaking cool, and two, what it means for the future of Dragon Ball games. Specifically, two is the main reason why, but number one is also to kind of go over the forms as well, but ultimately, it's talk about the future of Dragon Ball games and what it could possibly mean for games like Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. Now before I continue, I do want to say that this is not confirming any details by anything. This is pure speculation, pure theory. I want to hear from you guys as well, so if you have any theories or thoughts about what I'm going to talk about in this video, feel free to discuss in the comment section below. But ultimately, this is just my own observations, and based on what games have done in the past, I feel like this could be a possibility in the future with games like Xenoverse 2. So the first breakdown of how these transformations actually work in Dragon Ball Heroes. When you have your avatar, you have 4 different stages you can do for this avatar. You got the base form, which obviously as it sounds is the base form. Then you get the next class up, which is called class up. Then you get the super class, and now you have the brand new introduced God class, which is what we're going to talk about in this video. Each class for each race allows you to achieve a brand new transformation that allows you to keep up with other avatars. So to not make this game completely overpowered for Saiyans, Dragon Ball Heroes actually introduces a God class for every race. And to those who know, the races available in this game consist of Saiyans, Namekians, Frieza or Changelings as they call it, Android, Majin, and the Supreme Kai class. Now prior to the release of the God class, the highest level of transformation an avatar could achieve in Dragon Ball Heroes was a super class. For example, Saiyans were able to go Super Saiyan 3 in the super class. But obviously not every single race in the Dragon Ball universe has a transformation, so a super class Namekian, for example, won't change in appearance, but they'll be in the same level as the Super Saiyan 3. So this is a way for them to balance the game out, give every single race a transformation, or a class as they call it, and then keep it all on the same level so it's not like the Saiyans are the most OP races in the game. Now the newly introduced God class does 3 things for the characters. Number 1, it grants them God Ki, which we don't really know much about. We just know it's very mysterious, it's very powerful, but it grants the character a lot of power, which is 2, it increases their strength drastically, and number 3, we do have a change in appearance for every single race. Well, not every single race, but for the most part, almost every single race has a different appearance when it comes down to it. Now this is mainly why I wanted to talk about this topic in this game. Now when Xenoverse was being made, the one question we all had was how are the transformations going to work for other races, and when the game came out, we were all pretty much disappointed when we realized that only Saiyans could transform. I mean, they could have easily just given the Frieza Race, for example, a buff form, or even given a buff or mystic form for humans or whatever, but ultimately when it came down to it, when Xenoverse came out, only Saiyans were able to transform. But now that this concept exists in Dragon Ball Heroes, I feel like when Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 comes out, they could grant these levels of classes and transformations for every single race when the game comes out. Now again, before I continue, I have no clue what the plans are for Xenoverse 2, what they're going to do with transformation or any of that. This is all pure speculation theory and just based on what I'm observing, what I would love to see in the game. So based on what I'm seeing is what I think could work for the next game. I just want to toss it out there because the last thing I want people to do is walk around saying that, oh, Xenoverse 2 is going to have God classes and stuff like that. That's not what I'm saying, folks. Now before I get into the looks and the transformations into the Dragon Ball Heroes God class, I do want to mention that humans are not a playable race or avatar in Dragon Ball Heroes. As of right now, the only races, as I said already, are the Saiyans, Namekians, Frieza, Android, Majin, and the Kai class. Now when Xenoverse 2 comes out, I would love for them to actually add the Kai class as well as the Android class as well, but again, we'll discuss that later. And I know a lot of you guys love to see the Android race as a potential playable option in Xenoverse 2, but I just kind of want to toss it out real fast. There is no human race in Dragon Ball Heroes, which is why we're not going to discuss them. But just to briefly talk about it, if a God class system gets implemented for the different races in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, what I think could work for the humans is a Mystic God class. Basically, just as it sounds, Mystic God class will just be potential unlocked with God Ki, and I think they have a good way to balance it out. On top of that, it'll look pretty freaking awesome. Just think about that. You have like Elder Kai, for example, or even maybe Whis. He unlocks your potential and then adds God Ki to it, and bam, we got the Mystic God form. Even Mystic God for humans just sounds awesome, and I think that'll be a good way to balance it out in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 when it comes down to the human race. So let me know what you guys think about that. Could that possibly work as a God class for the human race or not? Or if you have any better ideas, just drop your thoughts on that in the comment section below. But without further ado, let's actually take a look at this God class that Dragon Ball Hero introduces for various races and see how that could actually work with Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. Now we're not actually going to discuss the abilities and powers that these God classes will do in Xenoverse 2 or what they should do. Instead, we're only going to focus on the designs and how it actually works. So for example, like we saw with the Saiyans, if you transform to a Super Saiyan God, you get the red hair. In fact, that's actually what Dragon Ball Heroes does. You simply just get red hair, you're slimmer, thinner, you get the red eyes, and of course you got the amazing aura that Super Saiyan God has. Now I know everybody will mention this and I will completely agree. One small thing that will change here is the spikiness, or the lack of spikiness I should say, for the female hair. In fact, that was actually a big complaint in Dragon Ball Xenoverse where when you went Super Saiyan your hair didn't change at all. So one thing, like I said, I would change is I will make the hair more spikier, not just for females but for males as well. No matter what your hairstyle is, the hair should change in terms of spikiness, not just color, and I'm sure everybody will agree with me on this. But that's pretty much it for Saiyans. I mean, there's not really much to talk about for the Saiyan race, because Super Saiyan God kind of established the next level of a character's strength. Simply just give them red hair, more spikiness, great power, and then you have Super Saiyan God. Now, the other reason why I want to do this video is to kind of discuss how you can do other races to be on a godly level. So let's take a look at the Frieza race next. Now, something that I found really interesting is the fact that Dragon Ball Heroes for the Frieza race decided that the ultimate evolution, which is equivalent to god level status, is gold across the board. Now, we know Frieza chose gold specifically because it was ironic to get revenge like that, and we don't really know what Frost is capable of, so we don't really know if quote-unquote the final evolution for a Frieza race character is gold across the board. But for now, let's just assume it is, and if that's the case, for the Frieza race and Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, they should definitely all have a golden form as well for their god tier status. Now again, I'm not going to get into details of how each god evolution should work for every single race in terms of power boosts and what they actually do. So for example, for a Frieza race, if you go into the golden form, you get stronger. If you want to actually have your own ideas or suggestions of what each race's god evolution should do, feel free to comment below. And in fact, I'll actually do a part 2 video to that sometime in the near future. But for now, I'm only discussing the designs of what they should do in Xenoverse 2 and discussing what Dragon Ball Heroes are doing right now. Now before I move to the next race, I do want to ask you guys a quick question in regards to the whole golden evolution thing. Should that be the god tier transformation for the Frieza race? Yes or no? Or if you have any other feedback in regards to how it should work, feel free to drop your own thoughts in the comment section below. Now for the next race, this was actually not in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1, but I know it's highly requested for Xenoverse 2, the androids. Now to quickly break down how the whole android race thing works in Dragon Ball Heroes, you have 3 options. Either 1, it could be a full-out android like we saw with Dr. Zero and Android 19. 2, you could be a cyborg like 17 and 18, or 3, you could be a biological android. However, you don't have the perfect status. In this case, this is basically a form of Cell Jr. Now, the thing that I find really interesting is for the 17 and 18 version of androids, it's more like a super form, like how we saw when Super 17 was created in Dragon Ball GT. That's the first character you see on the left. On the right, we have a reddish looking cell, which is supposed to signify like a Super Saiyan God, so Super Saiyan God cell type of thing. Now, I'm not really sure how the middle android works, but I assume it's supposed to be an equivalent to Super 17 like we see in the first android. So essentially, if you choose an android race and become god tier status, you would just become the super form of that android. To compare it side by side, here's the previous transformation class available in Dragon Ball Heroes known as the super class. And again, if you look at the difference between god and super, basically the god class for the androids is Super 17. Unless, of course, you choose Cell, in which case you just become a red version of Cell. So how would you guys feel if that's how the god class work for androids? Yes or no, or do you have better ideas? Comment below. Now for our next race, let's actually go over to the Namekian class. Now this is going to be kind of challenging because in the series we've only really seen one true transformation for the Namekians, and that was a giant form that we saw with Lord Slug. Any other time we saw Piccolo get stronger, it was due to fusion, and he pretty much look the same. Now the answer that Dragon Ball Heroes has for the whole god tier status for Namekians is they introduce what's called the Red Eye Namek. Now before people get confused, no, this was never introduced in the series. This is brand new. This is just basically their answer to god tier status, and what it does is it allows the Namekian to have god ki and fight on a whole new strength level. Now if you look at one of the designs in the god tier status for Namekians, you'll notice one looks very demonic, but that's just kind of a character design choice. When you become a god with Namekians, you just get red eyes and that's about it. Oh, also the aura as well, but that's kind of a given. So basically the way the Namekians will work is that they get the red eyes and a brand new aura, and that's their solution to how god status should work for Namekians. Now again, it's kind of tough here because Namekians have just always been kind of the same in the series. Every single time Piccolo fused with anybody, he stayed the same. I mean, there was that one time where after he fused with Kami where he had that like whitish glowy aura, but that disappeared and we never seen that ever again. So honestly, when it comes down to Namekians in a god tier status or transformation, I wouldn't mind if they gave it a reddish aura or a different color aura as well as the red eyes, but that's just me. If you have any better ideas of how a god status transformation should work for Namekians, then feel free to drop your suggestions or ideas in the comment section below. And finally, well not finally, almost finally, but the next race is the Majin race. Let's talk about that. Now, the real confusing thing about the Majin race is, for starters, they already have a skinny form, which they call the pure Majin form, available in Dragon Ball Heroes. So for number 1, I want that to come back in Xenoverse 2. But for 2, I don't really know what the quote-unquote god tier status does for the Majin race. Now, initially, the idea that I had for the Majin race in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1, which we obviously never got, was 2 things. Either 1, a kind of fusion transformation type of thing, like we saw with Buhan and Buu Piccolo and Buu Tang, stuff like that. Or 2, a pure form like we saw in Dragon Ball Online. For the pure form, basically what happened is you had the fat Majin character that transforms and becomes essentially Kid Buu. Now obviously, if Dragon Ball Heroes already has quote-unquote the Kid Buu Majin pure form available, then what does the god tier status actually do? Honestly, the only idea I have here is similar to the Namekians. Just give them a different kind of aura, maybe like a reddish aura, and that's about it. But if you have any better ideas on how a quote-unquote god status transformation for the Majin race should be, feel free to drop your own thoughts and ideas in the comment section below. I actually try to look up some information on how the god transformation works for the Majin race in Dragon Ball Heroes, but there's still no information, so if anybody knows anything, please tell us in the comment section below. Now for the final race, this is obviously not part of Dragon Ball Xenoverse, but since Dragon Ball Heroes is utilizing it, I would love to see this in Xenoverse 2. Of course, I'm talking about the Supreme Kai race. Now the only confusing thing about this whole Kai race thing is the fact that they're already technically deities and gods, but based on the different transmission they get is how strong they get in terms of fighting. Because we all know the Supreme Kai, when you compare him to Goku, it's kind of a joke. But what they do in Dragon Ball Heroes is based on the class that you choose, it's how strong you become. So basically, if you're a Super Class Supreme Kai character, you find on the level of Super Saiyan 3. If you're a God Class Supreme Kai character, you find on the level of Super Saiyan God. So basically, that's a solution to it. So I honestly don't have a big answer to how the Supreme Kai class should work when it comes down to God transformations. But honestly, going back to how we're doing Majin Buu as well as the Namekian Race, really just an aura change basically, and that's the only thing I can see working. But obviously, if you have any better suggestions, feel free to drop your own ideas in the comment section below. I mean, at this point, all we're really talking about is we're taking the ideas that Dragon Ball Heroes is doing for their God races, and then we want to see how that could work in Xenoverse 2, and that's the whole point of this video. So I want to hear from you guys. After reviewing what Dragon Ball Heroes did with all their character races for the different God statuses, what do you want to see in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, and let's just talk about that in the comment section below. Also, let me know your thoughts on how Dragon Ball Heroes is handling in the first place. Like, is that a good move, bad move, having Super 17s for androids, having Majin Buu characters just basically have an aura change, and what's up with the red eyes and the Namekians? If you have any suggestions or feedback around what Dragon Ball Heroes did, I want to hear from that as well. But other than that, that's pretty much everything I want to talk about in this video. Now, before I end this video, I do want to talk about the fact that we still have no idea what's going on with Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. We know it's going to happen eventually, but there's still no release date, no plans or anything that's been revealed yet. I feel like we'll probably get some information maybe at E3, but it's more likely to hear about it at Jump Festa later in December. So let's just, I guess, keep our eyes open and see what Bandai Namco has planned for us. But for now, let's talk about potential ideas that could work with this game and stuff that we as fans would love to see in the next sequel. So let's do that. Anyways, that's everything that I want to discuss in today's video, and if you enjoyed, don't forget to punch that like button right in the balls, and of course, don't forget to leave feedback in the comment section below based on everything we discussed, and I guess that's everything. So as always, I hope you guys enjoyed the rest of your day. My name is Rhymestyle, and I'll see all you awesome Super Sandwiches in the comment section below. Peace!